We're live on YouTube. Ready?
Yes.
And I think we're live. Do we just hit it? Checking connection. We are live. Okay. We did it. We just get situated. And I want to see on Instagram, it kind of takes a minute for people to update and let people know that we're here.
Okay.
So, hello. I see a couple of you are arriving on Instagram. Hi. We're also live on YouTube for Jayme's channel. Everyone, this is my girlfriend, Jayme. Pop your head in here. This is Jayme.
Hi.
And we are coming to you from our home with the fire here. And we want to talk about Ayurveda, about really what 2020 has been, which has been like a home retreat, but more of an intentional home retreat, and practice a form of meditation tonight. So some of you know about Jayme, but can I give you an intro?
Yes.
And then you can give an intro
Okay.
too.
Intro.
Okay, cool. Jayme and I have really complementary work, but haven't done anything together yet as far as our work. So Jayme is a yoga therapist and has been studying yoga therapy for years and years and years, along with Ayurveda. And her work has just influenced my life a lot since we've been together. And also before that, because I took your classes and stuff before we started dating. And what I really love about Jayme's work and how it has influenced my work and my life is that it has really helped me regulate my nervous system. And even though you won't say it's trauma informed, I know you were really cautious about saying that, it does support alleviating trauma from the body and from the body system. And so doing what Jayme's upcoming program is a lifestyle cleanse and home retreat. And I have been so supported by the tools that Jayme just knows intuitively from her years of study this year specifically. And I don't know how I would have handled quarantine or isolation without these tools. And so because of so many people are going back into lockdown and back into some isolation, especially in these winter months, I wanted to bring some of Jayme's work forward and center it, because a lot of people ask me, how do I heal my nervous system? What tools are you using? And a lot of those tools are tools that I integrate from Jayme. So how would you introduce yourself?
Well, I would say that a lot of my work comes through what I've been practicing, and really where a lot of what we'll be, talking about today and what we do in our daily life came to me through living in a yoga and meditation retreat center and ashram, where these tools of Ayurveda were sort of built into the daily life and the lifestyle there as a part of creating a healing environment. So much of what comes to mind for people when it comes to applying yoga, or even if you know a little bit about Ayurveda, applying Ayurveda is sort of more of a list of shoulds that kind of weighs you down. And really the way that I practice it in my daily life and how we practice it is more of being informed from knowledge of the body and knowledge of your particular elemental nature, and having a relationship with the elements of nature. So I would introduce myself by saying I am a yoga therapist, and I have recently, converted my programming all online due to 2020 and all of the home retreating that we're doing. I've been preparing for this. Where I have been working in person, one-on-one, and putting these things into place for individuals, which is really what yoga therapy is. It's the tools and techniques of yoga and Ayurveda applied to an individual's life or life circumstance. And in this case, the life circumstance that we're all in winter 2020, where we're kind of going back home. So how can we take that time where we're forced to be at home, maybe work at home, and really make the most of it to create a healing environment for ourselves?
Yeah. Cool. Well, want to make sure on Instagram that if you have questions for Jayme, to pop them in the chat. We'll kind of scroll through those at the end. What I want to do live is actually kind of run through some of the things that Jayme has planned for her home retreat, for the home retreat and lifestyle cleanse that she's hosting leading up until the eclipse. A lot of people are talking about the really intense energy of December 21st and how it is like the portal into the Aquarian age, how Jupiter and Saturn go in conjunct, and so many astrological events are happening. And then also we're just kind of in a time of really a lot of intensity with COVID and lockdown and so many things happening politically. So like my hope bringing this to the community here is that you would be supported to use some of the tools that I use, but don't necessarily teach, that Jayme actually is an expert in and happens to teach quite well. And for those of you who didn't hear, she had a completely in-person yoga therapy and yoga studio business that totally shut down and translated to online during COVID. And that is an extremely stressful thing that I've seen her use these tools to navigate. And it is not an easy year to navigate transitioning your business to completely online. So yeah, just want to give you credit for that.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So do you want to start with meditation or do you want to start with shedding?
Yes, I always like to start with meditation.
Okay.
Yeah, so this will actually be a breathwork practice that we'll do first, just to sort of ground in. And it's starting off with a breathwork practice that's called resonant breathing. So a simple, even inhale and exhale, and a smooth, steady breath in the context that I'm coming to breathwork to. This is the foundation. This is a prerequisite for all of the other things that we might think of as breathwork. First, we're working on building a relationship with a smooth, steady, deep, even breath.
Why would you recommend? Because I know a lot of people here are like aware of breathwork and know about breathwork and also know about yoga. Why is this important as the foundation to breathwork?
Well, breath has a lot of power inside of it, and you know that's what we're teaching and saying when we're teaching breathwork. So there's also a lot of information inside of the breath. And just like we have movement patterns and habit patterns and mental patterns, we have patterns of breathing. And so through practicing smooth, steady, even breathing and kind of working through in a really gentle, attentive way, the jerks and kind of areas that are stagnant as far as not being able to breathe or move into, that sort of clears away some of the patterning of the nervous system, which sort of holds all of our life experience. What would, make me trauma informed is that I know that each individual's life experience is housed in their body and in their breath. And so we're going to go in there in a way that is honoring that and is gentle and kind, so that, we're working with the system in a gentle way.
Yeah. Cool. I guess we're doing it live. I'm a pretty shallow breather. So some of you have asked what my meditation practice is and what we're going to do, like for the last 40 days. I said 40-day practice. This is an element of that practice that I'm doing. And I actually had a really elaborate plan of what I was going to do. And Jayme was like, she really discouraged me from, you
didn't ask my advice.
I did not ask her advice. I did not ask what her opinion was, but I was like, I'm going to do some really intense Kundalini meditations. And Jayme was like, how about you just learn how to breathe properly first? So
that was nice.
Yeah, I was nice about it. I'm usually the one who delivers feedback in a harsh way. So in case you were wondering, no one asked that. Cool.
Okay, so we'll first just work into a smooth, steady breath. I'll be guiding you through that. And then we'll go into a breathwork practice where we're orienting breath and the body together. So we'll take our attention to different points in the body and take one of our smooth, steady breaths in that area and then move on to another area. So this is a practice that you're doing it right if it's very easeful and you feel very relaxed and effortless. So if you feel like as soon as we talk about breath work, you're moving into exaggerating the inhale or exaggerating the exhale, just see if you can explore just letting everything about this practice be really gentle. Okay?
Am I the model?
Well,
Okay,
we're
here we
modeling
go.
together.
Okay.
Just sitting up straight wherever you're at, however you're seated, is as best you can. Have an erect spine. And then bring your attention to your breath. And at first, don't change a thing. Just notice. What can you notice about your inhale and where the inhale moves in your torso? What can you notice about your exhale?
Does it matter if the eyes are open or closed?
The eyes can be open, and if they're open, hold them on a single point of focus. And if they're closed, same thing, hold them on a single point of focus. So eyes can be open and gently relaxed, or they can be closed. So as you're first settling in, you may notice that your body wants to adjust or wiggle. Go ahead and allow for that. And we'll just begin by bringing a gentle effort to bring breath in and down and feel a movement that's steady of the diaphragm, which is right here. And as you inhale, it contracts and moves down. So it causes a sensation like the breath is moving down into the belly. And then as you continue to inhale, breath moves up the torso. And as you exhale, see if you can make your exhale the same length as your inhale was, or maybe just slightly longer. And this will be it for the first few minutes, just attention towards the breath and a effort to observe any jerks or pauses in the breath. And over the course of this few minutes of observation, see how shifts happen just from your attending. Good. And as you begin to settle, if it feels comfortable, go ahead and allow the eyes to close. And bring your attention to feel the center of the forehead. You're continuing to breathe with this smooth, steady breath we've cultivated and holding your attention at the center of the forehead. And then allow your attention to move down towards the corners of the eyes. And take a steady breath there. And then moving your attention to the felt sense of the tip of the nostrils. And take a deep breath there. Again, just letting it be easeful. And then bringing your attention to the center of the throat. A deep breath. To both shoulders. Another breath. To both elbows. To both wrists. Both palms. The fingertips. Take 2 breaths with your attention and the felt sense of the fingertips. Back up to the palms. the forearms, the upper arms, the shoulders, the throat, down to the center of the chest, down to the solar plexus, an inhale and an exhale, to the center of the pelvis, and finally down to the perineum at the foundation. We're in contact with the floor, and take 2 deep breaths here. No imagination, the felt sense of this area of your body. And then moving back up to the center of the pelvis. The center of the abdomen. And the center of the chest. The throat center. To the felt sense of the breath touching the tip of the nostrils. The corners of the eyes and the eyebrows. And again, back to the center of the forehead. Good. Taking a few more steady breaths, the center of the forehead. And then taking your gathered attention from the forehead and orienting your attention from here at the space between the abdominal center and the heart center. So just anywhere in this general space of the center of the torso. And as we move into the discussion portion and move on, continue to have a felt sense of yourself at the center of the abdomen. And as you're ready, just slowly becoming aware of sight behind the eyes, and then slowly and gently opening your eyes.
That was lovely.
Here we are.
When we meditate at home, Jayme's not normally guiding me in meditation. I'm normally doing it on my own. So that was nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was really lovely. So, yeah, that is a snippet of the kind of meditation that we're practicing right now for the 40 days leading up to the new year.
Yeah, I'd love to say a little more about it.
Yeah, please do.
It's actually step 1 of 3 phases of the meditation. So really getting proficient at that steady, smooth breath, and then moving into the held attention sort of installed at all these different areas of the body. And then it moves into a few more steps to make a single meditation practice that, is built over time. So you start with 5 minutes and then work your way up to 20 or 30. And we'll be doing that over the course of the home retreat.
The whole thing, the whole series.
So that's a little teaser for the next 2 phases.
Yeah, it is. Do you want to share what it's called?
Yeah. It's called Vishoka meditation, and it's a meditation method based around Yoga Sutra 136 and taught by my teacher of Tantra, Pandit Rajmani Teganayat. So I'm really excited to be supporting a group of folks through developing this practice, because it has really been a huge part of my practice and a huge part of my healing. So I'm happy to share.
Beautiful. Did you have any more to share before I
just ask please go on.
Okay. I have a lot of questions for Jayme about the upcoming retreat, the upcoming home retreat. Do you want to give an overview of the retreat? Yeah. Because home retreat and lifestyle cleanse could mean a number of things.
It could mean a lot of things. Yes. So a home retreat, what is a home retreat? I actually made a post today talking about retreat time. And it really doesn't matter where you are if you shift sort of your pace and your mode. And so this is a 10-day program that you'll have access to for 20 days. So starting December 11th and access through the 31st, but the first 10 days are where we're actively facilitating the program. And there's evening group calls and a sort of a progressive daily schedule that's built up over the 10 days where we're learning about Ayurvedic self-care practices and implementing them as we're learning about them. So there's nothing really that we'll learn that we won't start putting into action. We'll get some theory and definitely some learning about Ayurveda, but it's like a whole nother language. And you don't really have to know that language to benefit from the practices. So I'm really a firm believer of action. And so we're going to make this doable for someone's life within their life. And that's really something that has been a practice for me over the last 5 years since living at an ashram that kind of put that environment into place for me. And, I wake up and schlep myself to morning prayers and meditation. And there's a whole community of people there doing the same thing to support that. So, in the past 5 years, I've been figuring out how to create that environment for myself in my home life. And this is really the culmination of that effort where I'm sharing what I know. And
in a time of need, this is really needed.
I feel compelled.
Yeah. Something I see a comment, I'll check it in a second. But something I really love about what Jayme does is I live so much in my mind. I love reading things that make me critically think, philosophy. I love studying spiritual traditions, and something that's really shifted in my life. A lot of you know that I was practicing Christianity, and there were some rituals involved in that, especially this time of year, but I lost a lot of those rituals that made life feel really rich and deeply spiritual, but also just deeply human whenever I left that path, and then also had to reestablish what is my relationship with the community, what is my relationship with my body. And something that I've appreciated since living with Jayme is the way that a lot of these things aren't necessarily self-optimization oriented, even though they can provide that. And by optimization, I mean be your best self. I do think these practices support us in that, but what feels more true in my experience of using these tools this year specifically, because we moved in together the week of quarantine, the week of lockdown. And so, we've been kind of in a home retreat since the first lockdown, using these tools. And something I've noticed is a healthier relationship to my body and to food and to movement in a way that I was doing those things before to be healthy, but I wasn't feeling myself do them. And so I really appreciate that this is spirituality and it is philosophy, but it is lived practice. And that feels so much better than not knowing why I'm doing something, but kind of going through the motions.
Yeah. It's really an orientation of the body as the altar. And I love Ayurveda so much because it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful way to see the world and a beautiful lens to see the world through. And so, it has a beautiful story of how all this started. And I think that that's something that's really important, to be aware of the stories that are informing, why you do what you do. And Ayurveda has a beautiful story of, why we're doing this particular things, why all of this is recommended and how you modify it for the individual. So really that relationship that I mentioned with the elements is a huge part of it, that you're learning through feeling, what your body is doing. And as you first are coming to it, there's you see all the ways that you're, you're taking the dosha quiz. I don't know if that's, your elemental nature quiz, slightly bent towards what you would want to be, or what you would like to think that you're like, a lot less like what you're actually like. And so these practices sort of unfold over time, and you don't necessarily even have to know your elemental nature, or your constitution, or your dosha to benefit from the practices, especially the ones that we'll be implementing in this retreat. But there will be lots of modifications for those that do understand their Ayurvedic dosha.
Yeah. For those who don't understand or don't know the language of like dosha, what Ayurvedic dosha like means, like elemental nature, if you could like think like I'm mostly fire and a lot of air too, that feels pretty true.
Yeah.
Pretty hot and pretty sharp, whereas Jayme is more smooth and earthy and watery. So we make a nice pair in that way.
Yes, I think so.
I think so. And so sometimes in using these tools, I'm finding ways to balance my fire and air with more grounding and earth and water, so that I feel more whole. So in the language that I typically use in my work, I talk about wholeness and balance, and the different, balancing the different qualities inside of ourselves, like masculine and feminine. This is similar to that, but just a different language, using elemental language.
Well, using Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know Sanskrit.
Yeah. So. Like I said, you don't have to know it to benefit from it, but it's fun. And it's sort of this way of approaching something that you may have had a felt understanding about with a new word. And sometimes the old words sort of get in the way. So part sort of having these words for things I didn't have words for.
So I want to talk about a couple of the things that like actually you get inside of the home retreat, because I'm really excited to be leading 2 group coaching classes inside of it to offer that personal emotional support and community support. But there's also so much more than that. I'm really happy to get to be a part of it. So could you tell us about like what because I feel like the word cleanse feels very triggering maybe. And so could you talk about what do you mean by cleanse? What do we actually do?
Doing, right?
Yeah.
Good. So a lifestyle cleanse is what I'm calling it. And there will be an actual option for a diet modification, a mono diet. And it's called a khichdi cleanse, or khichdi mono diet. And so it's this particular Ayurvedic food that is really nourishing and medicinal, and you take a period of time where it's the only food that you're taking in.
It's really good, and you won't be hungry.
There. It's full of spices, and you can modify it. And I've found it to be sort of a staple in my life, that it's become sort of easeful to make it. And so whenever I am not okay, and it's like the time where I really need to be nourishing myself, I have this go-to recipe that's going to be nourishing and particularly helpful in so many ways that I could go off on. But
we've eaten khichdi so many times this year because it's literally so easy to make, and it's so nourishing, and it's become like, I would say we have it every week.
Yes.
Yeah. At least. And you can make it in bulk, so like more than one day's worth, but keep going.
I'll just sort of walk through the 10 days. It starts on December 11th, which is a Friday. And that evening, we'll have a group gathering call for orientation to talk about how the week will go, what you'll need to do each day, specifically what to do the next day, Saturday, to prepare. So first 2 days are preparation days. So you'll have the time to get everything you need together. And there will be cooking tutorials and lots of explanation on that first Saturday about khichdi and why khichdi, and also tutorials on all of the things that you'll get with your Ayurvedic box kit. So
yay. Mail.
Yes, we'll be sending gifts, and it includes some different oils, a spice kit, a tongue scraper, and some Ayurvedic essentials to start putting these things into practice. So you won't have to go and find all of those things. So we've kind of kept it to some things that you could go to your local health food store and get. So everything else will be sent to you in the Ayurvedic.
These are like the staples that we use every single day, like tongue scraper.
Yes.
Nasia oil.
Nasia oil, yes.
Love Nasia oil.
Yes.
Changed my life. Changed the way I traveled, even though I haven't been traveling that much. But I used to get sick every time I traveled until I got Nasia oil. So I'm not saying that's a COVID remedy. I just want to specify that is not what I'm saying. But,
no, but oil,
yes.
You know, the future is well oiled.
Yes, the future is well. My entire hair actually is braided this way because I am covered and dripping in oil. So that's beside the point. What else do we get?
What else do we get? So you'll also get a digital copy of Yoga in Action, Yoga in Ayurveda. It's the December 2019 issue of the publication from the Circle Yogashala, which is my home and where I study still yoga therapy and Ayurveda, and they put out this quarterly publication, and this is specifically the one on Ayurveda. So you'll get a digital copy of that for reading assignments that will be hopefully something that you can print and sort of have off screen and incorporate into your routine that we're going to be putting in place. So this is a big part of the lifestyle cleanse portion, where at first, we'll be clearing away all of the things that you probably know you already shouldn't be doing. Whatever, that tends to be my experience, that there's some things in your life that you know already that you should let them go. And so this is the support and the sort of impetus to start doing that. So the first portion, we're not adding a whole lot at first. We're trying more so to clear away. So there'll be journaling prompts and exercises about making space in your life and your lifestyle. So cleansing in general, not just your body, but your environment and your mind and your senses. So this is a process in yoga and Ayurveda of purification. So you're removing all of that you've built up that you have not digested. And there's been a lot of stuff to digest.
Yes, so much.
So this, part of the reason for doing it at this time of year is that we're moving towards a slower time of year. We also happen to be moving towards staying at home. So how can we make that movement in as gentle of a way as possible and facilitate releasing all of that we have accumulated over 2020?
Yeah.
And then so you can choose over the weekdays, Monday through Friday, how you want to go about that mono diet cleanse, how strict you want to be, how not strict you want to be. All that is up to you. We'll be giving sort of modification levels. So if you can't do that, do this. If you can't do that, do this. If you can't do that, do this, which is one of my favorite things about yoga and Ayurveda. There's always an entry point, and if it's helpful or not, because the only way to know is by doing. So you'll take whatever level of commitment that you can. Any level that you take is going to be beneficial. So that's over the weekdays. Where at the weekend sessions, we've really put in a daily rhythm into place, and we've talked about all of that, learned about what to do when and why, and then you're experimenting all week trying to put all of that into your life with the support of evening group calls and daily practices or check-ins throughout the day. So you'll get those practice downloads, and all of that is included in the course. There's an Ayurvedic reference guide, so you'll be able to sort of build familiarity with Ayurveda and the terms of Ayurveda as you're doing this cleanse and this practice for 10 days. So after we've cleansed, then we move into nourishing ourselves. So now that we have all this beautiful space in our lives and in our digestive tract, what are we going to add to? How are we going to nourish ourselves? And what habits are we going to put into place that we'd like to, carry forward with us? So that second weekend is really a weekend of beautiful self-care experimentation. So you're going to take all the things we've been learning and talking about and do them, all in days where you're creating this retreat environment for yourself. So this would be, when you're really turning up the self-care dial, so we've worked on what is it like in a daily work day sort of rhythm. And then on some days where you've really created time and space to do this self-care practices, what would you do if you had days to rest? How would you rest in the most efficient and wise way? Yeah, if we're optimizing anything, we're optimizing rest.
Yeah, especially this year, sleep has been like my number one goal. This year.
Yes, it is a pillar of Ayurveda for sure. And so much attention and energy when you're first implementing these practices goes to sleep and digestion and regulating those two things. And once you get rhythm in your sleep and in your bowel movements, life looks a lot different. It really does.
Like, I think so much of mental, emotional health has to do with sleep and digestion. But we're all like trying to do more, and like, it's just the morning routine. If I just get everything done in an hour. People are always asking me about my morning routine, and I think they're really disappointed to find out like that I sleep till like 8 or 9, and it's a lot more.
It's in what you love.
Yeah. I can get wound up, so it's like really good for me to have that space.
Yeah, especially as you're first beginning and becoming aware of nervous system health. You're really spending time, instead of imposing this routine onto your body, you're moving into a space, an allotted period of listening where you're allowing your needs to come forward and deferring to the wisdom that's in the body.
Yeah. So if I could recap, is there anything that we missed?
Okay, so the last weekend is all about adding back healthy rhythms and good habits, and then that leads up to the 21st, where then you're kind of creating your own eclipse ritual. So we won't have any group events, but you'll have had all of this support for 10 days to build up to really make the most of what this portal, like you call it.
Eclipse portal. It is an eclipse portal. I've been reading all about it. It's also personally, it's the day that my Saturn returns as well. So it feels really significant in that way, but it's also significant I've been reading, I'm not an astrologer, but I've been reading that the eclipse is very significant for cultural change and the shift of the patriarchy. And so it's actually really beautiful time to be reflecting on what we want to let go of leading up to the eclipse, because that is such a time of setting intention for what's to come in this next season. So whether you believe in that or not, that's what the astrologers are saying this eclipse symbolizes.
Yeah. The more that you can let go of before we move that doesn't serve you, before we move into something new, the more you'll be able to, consciously co-create with that newness.
Yeah. So to recap, there is cooking classes. There are, I don't think you mentioned much about the yoga therapy and myofascial release part.
So daily guided practices for self-massage and yoga therapy, and a development of a yoga practice that could be sustained after the 10 days. So we'll be taking each of the days step by step, adding on to the practice. And so no matter which day you found there's my capacity. I'm at my capacity at day 4. Perfect. Take day 4 and keep doing that for several weeks, getting you through the new year, and develop those particular movements and breath patterns. And then, it can kind of progress endlessly from there. But this is a perfect place to start for creating a sustainable yoga practice. And yoga and meditation practice. We'll be doing the yoga practices in the early day, and those will be pre-recorded, and then we'll be doing the meditation practices as a group in the evening.
Cool.
And there is, there's lots of handouts and information on all of this. So all these things that seem like, well, what is all this? It's going to be clearly laid out, and you'll know what to do when. Yeah. And so it's kind of moving into this space of listening to the body and listening to the internal rhythms. But that being said, all of those things are laid out in a way that you could do them around your daily home and work life.
Yeah.
So the weekdays are really designed to show you how this could be done within your daily life so that it can be sustained.
So to recap, I just think a recap is
Yes,
good.
please recap.
It is. So it'll be 10 days supporting you to develop your own self-care rhythm that can sustain you through the winter while you're simultaneously learning how to cook in this Ayurvedic way to cook the khichdi, learning how to breathe and meditate in a way that's really simple and not confusing. It's guided using yoga therapy and myofascial release to release some stress and tension out of the body, also known as loosening the muscles, loosening the trauma patterns from the body. Letting go. There'll be group coaching with me and some journal prompts that I'm creating on letting go and then setting new intentions, which will also be guiding in both of the group coaching. Mentioned the cooking classes.
Yes, those are with my gals, Alex and Ingrid at Collective Kitchen. So they have been baking bread for our whole community all pandemic long, and do lots of beautiful food for the retreats that we normally have in person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well,
it's not
we
happening
can't have
this
in-person retreats. That's really been, my favorite part of what I do is leading these experiences in person. And so this is my way of taking that online and making it available. And so amazing food and support from the Collective Kitchen, and group calls, which I think will be really a wonderful addition to our Interwoven team. That's been the name of our retreats that we've been leading for 4 years now, seasonally in person, which is actually how we met.
Yeah, that is how we met. So I love that you mentioned that, because this retreat format is actually something that Jayme, and like she mentioned, Alex and Ingrid are good friends with Interwoven. We're leading these retreats for years, and it is how we met. I was a person. Was a patron?
A participant.
I was a participant at the retreat 2 years ago, and that's where I met Jayme, and that's a whole story. That's a whole story. I don't know if we have time for it today.
Him doesn't have time for that.
We'll record a podcast interview on that story and maybe share it another time in the new year. So essentially, this is for me, this is bringing my in-person community, everyone who's hosting this retreat, or people who own local businesses in my community, Jayme, Alex, and Ingrid, who have been leading this in person, this similar experience for years. But because it's not available and I can't invite you to come and experience it with us in the woods where we would normally do it, I think it's really beautiful to translate that to how to support yourself through the winter months and how to support yourself through a time where there is a feeling like we need more self-care, but not quite sure how to do it. And so we're all just watching Netflix instead, which is fine. I love Schitt's Creek. We've been watching a lot of Schitt's Creek.
Yes, I actually think that's one of the benefits. I've actually really been enjoying this process of moving online because of how much more realistic it is for someone to sustain whatever practice that we're learning about. Or at a retreat, if you would leave your home environment and go to a retreat, you go back home and you still have your old mess.
Oh shit!
But
just me in my house.
Yeah, but this will be a process where right inside your life, you're having prompts to clean it out. Whatever has accumulated in your space, whether that be your home space or your physical body. So I'm excited to see that. I feel like there'll be a lot more sustainability afterwards because all of it's taking place right in their home environment.
Yeah. So good. So I want to do Q&A.
Okay.
But was there anything else you wanted to share before we go there?
Going to share some ways that, whether people decide to participate in the home retreat and lifestyle cleanse or not, some ways that they could start applying Ayurveda.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Do share.
I will share.
Okay.
So these are all things that you could really start doing tomorrow that are really foundational in Ayurveda. The first one being your attitude when you eat. So culturally, we have habits of kind of grabbing whatever and eating whenever we can. But one of the most supportive things for your digestion is to sit down and focus on your food and pay attention while you're eating. And the second tip is to taste your food deeply, consciously as you're eating it. And just these two sort of shifts of your attention and attitude can have a huge effect on your digestion and your assimilation of your food. So if you're eating in a sympathetic, state, if in a stressed state, it's going to have an effect on how much you can digest and assimilate.
We kind of have it's not unspoken, it's been spoken. I don't know if it's a rule, but we don't talk about difficult things or argue while we're eating.
Yeah, that one day where I just dropped the fork, I'm like, no,
not today, not over my porridge.
Yes, pleasant conversation and an enjoyable meal, and really setting yourself up well. Lighting the candle and having the ambiance of the meal really makes a difference. And that's one of the things that is hugely a part of Ayurveda. It's incorporating all your senses into everything that you're doing, but especially when you're eating, because that's the fastest way to make change in mood is through food and through taste. So
I love food.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so you're a beautiful plate that you see and taste and touch and interact with consciously. Yes.
Anything else?
Well, I could add more. Yeah. The other really simple thing to do is to add in foods that are what I call pranalicious.
Pranalicious. Okay, keep going.
One of my teachers of Ayurveda at the Himalayan Institute, Carrie Demers, said that pranalicious food. So food, I don't know if she said pranalicious. She gave this as, an essential aspect of Ayurveda, that rather than, creating a lot of anxiety and obsession about the food, get the food that has the most life force. That's what prana is, life force energy. So as the food that is, the closest to in season and full of life force as possible, and eat that with joy and thanks and taste it.
Yes. I was like a smoothie with protein powder person for a really long time.
Just like
deep regret. Yeah.
You're fine.
I'm fine. It's all fine. I made it and here I am. And now I'm just like, more butter. Cool. Anything else you want to share?
I just want to add emphasis to, this being about fitting this into your daily life, and that if you aren't able to make all of the scheduled times or calls, they'll be recorded and uploaded, and you'll have access to the programming until the new year. So if you need to stretch your cleanse out a little bit more and kind of schedule it out for your lifestyle and needs, that is totally doable. And I'm sure you'll tag me somewhere in this. If you're not sure and have questions, you can hop on over to my profile and schedule a consult. Or if you're on the page, which I think maybe you'll link also, you can schedule a consult at the top of the page.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to find out if this is for you, because it might not be for everybody.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, if you're here watching live still into the meditation, have listened to everything, or if you're just joining, if you have any questions about the home retreat and lifestyle cleanse, or just any questions about anything that we've shared.
There's questions. I want to go look.
Oh, look. You can. I've seen a couple pop on here too. So I'm going to scroll. Wow, that light is really bright. I've seen people come in and out saying they're asking questions, but now I can't see them. Yeah, balance versus pathologizing. Yeah, Jenny says she loves the fireplace. Hey, Jenny.
Yeah, we need more wood.
We do. Yeah, so Alex was here. Yes.
Fun.
Yes, we have made our house very cozy because we've been living here pretty much all year.
Oh, I've been working on this place for a long time.
Yeah, Jayme actually bought this house with her family when it was condemned and like a hole in the roof and dilapidated. I'm still contemplating painting the fireplace.
Yeah. To look back.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. The link to join the retreat and lifestyle cleanse that I'm going to be doing as well is in my bio. It's also in Jayme's bio if you go to Jayme's website. But yeah, if you have any questions, let us know. Everyone's saying it looks so cozy on YouTube. Yes.
I'm crawling around the living room.
Crawling around. Yes, Eternity says, this sounds so fun and healing. Thank you for sharing the details of the program. You're welcome. Yeah. This is what I've been up to all year. This is like what we've been doing.
It's really progressive though. It doesn't all drop at once, to where you'll be overwhelmed with information. I've really thought a lot about how to make it digestible.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge part of Ayurveda.
Brittany asks, is the retreat good if you've gone through heartbreak or loss this year?
Yes. We will be attending our hearts. We will be feeling a lot of the meditations are specifically about the heart center, Vishoka, and the meditation that we'll be doing is about accessing an internal space that's actually at the center of the heart, or called the cave of the heart, that is about cultivating a sorrowless joy. So something that gets us through all of the times of change and difficulty while still connected and into our source.
That's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
We also, Brittany went through loss this year. A week after quarantine and lockdown began, our dog died in the front yard, and it was devastating. Just like the worst time for it to happen as well. And so a lot of the year was spent, especially, the first couple months of quarantine and COVID were spent grieving what was happening, obviously globally and in the US, with so much happening, but just personally, lots of loss. And so these are some of the tools that have, I'm going to speak for myself, supported me to feel myself again, because I kind of that was really hard. And any loss on top of what has happened this year is just so difficult. I'm seeing some more over here.
Yes, these are really the tools that get me through everything. Because there's something that I can do. I can take action in a way that is really wise and not overdone, not a forceful action that's imposed, but one that's coming from a place of deep nourishing, or an intention of deep nourishing.
Yeah. I think what makes this different than a lot of the work I do in coaching, and a lot of people are used to me talking about coaching, is that I think this is more about lifestyle nourishment than going after goals. And I think that's really appropriate for this time of year. And I actually was just talking to a client this morning about how the shift that this isn't the time to ramp up. This is actually the time for rest and reflection and letting go of the year, so that when the new year begins, we can start fresh. Actually is a lot more aligned with just the natural rhythm of the time. And so if you're feeling any pressure to end the year with a bang or something, just I almost said calm down. That's not the right thing to say.
The right amount of bang.
The right amount of bang.
Yeah, there'll be lots of learning about rhythm and natural rhythms that are present in the seasons.
Yeah.
And in the day. Yes, and definitely a focus on first what you were saying about letting go. I often talk about that letting go is a skill. We hear that, let it go, just let it go.
Let it go.
Okay, how am I going to let it go? I've learned through experience that letting go is a physical act. And so we'll be practicing that action of letting go. And then after releasing, really making conscious how we're nourishing ourselves.
Yeah. Your YouTube comments I'm going to read some of them because they're so nice. Someone says, hi, yoginis. I'm excited. The last time I saw you all was the last yoga before lockdown. Justine. Oh my gosh. That makes me really sad. I know. So weird. Is Justine, are you doing it? You said, I feel calmer just listening to you. I'm always trying to build my home practice, but I need it regularly. Yeah.
Yes, we all need support. And especially now, because there's a whole lot of time to just get away from ourselves.
Yeah. Karen says, the Cave of the Heart, BRB, have to go write a poem.
I want to see that poem, Karen.
Yes, and then she also said Schitt's Creek is beautiful and affirming. It is. We just watched the episode last night where they came out to the parents.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's a spoiler.
No.
This is our first time
I
watching
like the episode the night before that where David played softball.
Yes. We've decided that I'm David. And I wish that I could say it was like an exaggeration of my actual personality, but I don't think he is.
I asked her what she would do if I invited her to softball. And she's like, I would be offended.
I would be offended. How dare you even think I would want to do that? Oh my God. Clearly did not play sports. I don't know if that's obvious. It feels obvious to me. So any other questions before we go and make some dinner? Yeah. And Jayme and I are actually thinking of recording some podcast episodes for Everything Belongs together and starting a series together. So that'll also be fun for anyone who does the cleanse and kind of gets to know Jayme a little bit more. You'll be hearing some more from her in the coming months.
Yes.
January, probably.
Tell all.
Tell all. I don't know if I'm ready for that. Oh, your mom's here.
Oh,
Hey,
my
Susan.
mom.
So happy you're here. Okay, Justine asked, what time are the calls each night? That's a great question.
Great question. Calls are from 7 to 8:15 Central Standard Time. And then immediately after the call, I'll be uploading the video so that you can do the lesson and the meditation if you happen to miss the call.
Yeah. All of the calls are at that time.
All of the calls are at that time.
Every day of the week.
All 10 days.
Dang.
Yeah.
Can I just say that this offering is so well priced?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just on Zoom.
Yes, the calls are on Zoom. So there'll be a portion where we're discussing the reading from the day before from Yoga and Ayurveda, which will be included, and elaborating on that through discussion and lecture, and then Q&A, and then a guided practice each evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, anything else before we shut it down?
I hope you'll join. I think it's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
I know it's going to support us and Alex and Ingrid and all of our crew here in Springfield that are going to participate. And yeah. I'm really excited to share it with whoever joins us. Karen asks, what's the registration deadline? Great question. December 7th. So we have the Ayurvedic boxes that have to go out. So they'll be coming in the mail to some or contact-free pickup locally. So cart closes midnight December 7th so that we can get those boxes to everyone before the cleanse. The retreat starts on December 11th. And you'll get your shopping list on the 9th. So you'll have a few extra days to shop and acquire the food things you'll need. And what's the price? Price is $400. So that is I'm seriously yeah. It's never gonna be this cheap again. I want everybody to be able to do it. I really want to make it affordable and realistic for those that want to learn how to take good care this winter. Yeah. Because shit. It's really going down. It's really going down. So yeah, it's priced really affordably. It's a pilot program, and I hope to offer them every season, but this is definitely going to be the most affordable. Yeah. Cool. Yes. Thanks for coming live with me. That was really nice. Fun. Yeah. Cool. All right. If you have any questions on Instagram, you can jump in my DMs or go to Jayme's DMs, or also just go to the page online and it has a lot of the information there. So that's in my bio and Jayme's bio. Yep. It's all there. Right. Yes. And there's a recording of this very call. Oh, is there? Yeah. Oh, look at that. Yeah. If you missed the meditation at the beginning, you can go to her website and listen again. Yeah. All right. All right. Bye, everybody. I'm going to see who joined. It's fun. Bye. Bye, Justine and Karen and Jillian.